Who would like to go first?
Well, I like to say that we were exposed to so much, and one of the things I remember is that there would always be people that would come visit the school, like Rosa Parks came, Willie Mays, I think Langston Hughes came to the school. James Baldwin, I'm sorry. James Baldwin. Who else? Maya Angelou, yeah. And I just remember seeing and meeting these people, but they were interested in us as well, you know, because they had heard about the school. They wanted to see how this was being done. And, you know, I don't think that would have happened anywhere else, you know, and I remember it, you know.
Yeah, and I think as far as us serving the community, the students, we were, I hate to use the word required, but we participated in the food giveaways, in the survival programs, in the clothing giveaways. We participated in the sickle cell anemia programs.
Right.
Participating in all these activities. I don't think we were necessarily aware, but just like Rodney said, I wasn't born into the party, but I knew that that's everything about me. It was just, this was the way it was for us. And so community giving and community service, I think, especially when it starts at that young age, can carry with you throughout your life. And another seminal piece for me is that we often went to jail to visit our comrades, to visit incarcerated Black men in America. And that was a part of our connection with two realities, really. One, we don't ever want to end up here. And two, these folks behind bars are not our enemy. You know? And that type of experience at that early age really helped us have a greater sense of community.
I'll add very quickly. It was a wonderful thing to see Black men and Black women teaching us and being enthusiastic about it. The piece about giving back, we always saw that. People just taking a minute to say, how are you doing? You know, I didn't get that anywhere else. But it was wonderful to see, wonderful to feel, and I just carry it with me throughout my life, and I'm appreciative. I thank you for all your service.
You know, when I thought about the question, you know, many people don't realize that all over the nation, they now have breakfast programs in public schools. Black Panther Party started that. That's right. Every child in the community around the school could come to the school and get breakfast or dinner. They also could participate in all the activities for free that were available. But besides the school, there was the free health clinic, there was the senior escort services, but the whole atmosphere of the school was whatever the community needed, they could access it at the school building. And that was a pretty powerful model. One of the things I do remember was that young female students, there would be a time where someone would do their hair, and in beautiful, but again, that was part of the whole atmosphere that, you know, you had to look good and to feel good. And again, that was just part of the atmosphere of the school.
I'd like to just add, you know, I'm a foodie, first of all. So what the memory for me is my little preschool, we go into the cafeteria and we sat around our table and it was like family. You know, we sit around and we ate like family, and if one child had a problem, well, one child did have a problem, she would stuff her food down and then throw up. And we worked to figure out the best way to get her to slow down, you know. And I mean, when I say we, I'm talking about the staff. We talk about it, the kids. They make suggestions, you know, and it worked. It worked. she slowed down and she stopped doing it. So the family is, I guess, what stands out so much in my memory.
You know, something just came to mind because Asali taught the students that eventually came to my classroom, and my students were about 5 or 6 years old. And I was amazed that all my students at 5 and 6 could read. And that was because of her work, all right? And it was just amazing to me. It was just amazing to me what you could do with 5 and 6-year-olds who could read.
And I want to say that the Black Panther Party had so many members who were artists. Asali is a star in terms of art. And she taught the children from an artist's perspective. So she could say more about that herself, but it was delightful. Yes. And when she heard you say that, Rodney, she said, I forgot. But we did, because we were not there for a paycheck. Have you ever done something that didn't have a paycheck attached to it? Oh, great. You did, because your heart led you to do it. You want to know something? For years, I was the director of Oakland Community School, and I was collecting a welfare check because I didn't want to take any money from the school, nor was there any money for me, but that didn't stop me. And then we got grant savvy, and we got all of the grants, almost all of them we wrote, except that when it said, and you will teach like this, or there's this that you must do first, or no, don't teach this. We said, no, thank you, bye. So it was a beautiful place for me. I'm repeating what everyone has said. I've learned so much from the children. And I have so many stories I could share, many of them hilarious. But I'd like to share a poignant story with you from Serve the People, Body and Soul is what comes to my mind, which was also a motto. And the motto for the school, which Asali turned into a logo, is the world is a child's classroom. So as you think about the school, I'll tell the story later, but as you think about the school, think, what did I know about the Black Panther Party before today, and what do I know now? And what can I do with what I know? So, thank you. Serve the people, body and soul.
You know, something Ericka just said reminded me of why I left the school, because it didn't pay.
But, you know, sitting up here, this is, I've been working, I'm part of the host committee, and so I've been working on putting this conference together along with a panel, a wonderful group of people, comrades. And so I haven't had a lot of time to reflect. And so sitting up here and listening, I'm like, yeah, I remember teaching them through the art, and we would be on the floor and painting, and it'd be a mess, and we'd be drawing and what have you. And just the joy, the feeling that I had inside of me that they were enjoying themselves making a mess. No, they weren't making a mess. You know, but painting and drawing and expressing themselves in art. And I'll tell you one story. It was, I guess I was in my early 30s a couple of years ago. And I was in my early 30s. I left the party, and there was a parent there that Jackie Weist, I think her name was. Yes. Yeah, Guy's mother. And I ran into her, and she told me that her son, Guy, was over in England as an artist. And I was thinking, I don't know if I had anything to do with it or not, but I just loved it. That just made me feel so good inside. And just sitting up here listening to everybody, in teaching them through the art, it was just so much joy to see them learning through it.
Okay, now I'd like to revisit something that just about everyone has mentioned, which was that at the school, students were taught how to think, not what to think. And I'd like for you to share your reflections on some key moments where you remember that happening specifically. Teaching students how to think, not what to think.
Well, one thing that comes to mind is, it's almost the counter of what you're talking about, but it's one thing that really stands out to me. Right around the time I think we were 8 or 9, we had to start taking, I think they were called the CTPS tests. So there was something, big testing thing, and we had never really had to do this kind of testing. So I remember the number 2 pencils we got, which were great. We were excited about the number 2
They
pencils.
were standardized.
It was our first time doing standardized tests, and in relation to what you're saying, it was the first time where I realized I was trying to be taught what to think instead of how to think, because I had to fill in the bubbles. I had to have the right answer. There could be no well, maybe it's magenta. There was no avenue for that. And when you're taking these standardized tests, that really, our benefit within the school was that we were able to think critically within this dynamic. And frankly, the teachers trained us, and we had some real preparation, because there was some importance that was attached to the standards, probably with funding and other things. And we ended up doing really well, from what I recall. And but that was that seminal moment of that transition from this free level of talk where you saw me in Amar's class, and I'm talking about Geronimo the Apache getting his throat slit off, and hand gestures in a way that maybe another teacher might see as a threat, like, calm down, Gregory. So there were so many. That was the counter to all the other moments before, when we were really just taught to be creative with our thought process and analytical as well.
I can say for me, and again, I'm teaching 5- and 6-year-old students, and I was co-teaching with a member of the party, and whenever we presented any kind of lesson, we always went to several students and asked them, what do you think? What do you think of what they just said? And it was always encouraging all students to have a voice, no matter what we were talking about. And again, as they grew in the school, that permeated all of the classes, that students were expected to have an opinion.
I'll add one other thing. I had to write a note because I'm in my 40s now. I can't remember like I used to. I remember doing double dutch, and that was a thing we loved to do. And we were actually reciting the order of operations. So, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, right? So we were doing double dutch. I'm waiting to come in. Okay, then when you go in, you go for it. Please excuse my dear, So it was just, I brought back memories. Sorry, but it was just we learned without knowing that we were learning. So that's what the beautiful thing was. So again, when I transitioned to public schools or other types of public schools, we'll say. And I knew a lot of this stuff, and I felt kind of out of place in a way. And then another thing that happened as well was I would raise my hand, and I know other kids would kind of giggle, because I guess they didn't really ask a lot of questions. So I didn't care, because I really wanted to know. I really wanted to probe. I really wanted to challenge and really make sure I understood what was going on. So again, this was a great place to be, all the love, support, seeing people who look like you, teaching you, especially African-American men as well. It was a beautiful place to be. So